Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Human Rights, the show in which we discuss all things related to human rights. I'm your host, John Allender, and I'm part of the California chapter on Youth for Human Rights International. Youth for Human Rights International's purpose is to enlighten and educate people around the world on what their human rights are, with specific focus on the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And with this education to enable and inspire the youth of today as our leaders of tomorrow to stand up and secure these rights for themselves and all people on earth. For today's show, we'll be looking at a particular human right, number 3, the right to life. Let's take a look at a short video about this right.
It greeted you at birth. It was there for your first step, your first mistake, your first kiss. It's with you when you win, when you lose, when you pick yourself up again. In every moment, you can feel it. Life. Human right number 3, the right to life. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
All right, let's take a little closer look at this right. Everyone has a right to life, liberty, and security of person. The right to life should be thought of as an incredibly expansive, big, broad, and encompassing. The right to live, the right to choose, and then change your mind. The right to experience, the right to succeed, and the right to fail, and then pick yourself up again and give it another shot. The right to entangle ourselves with others, our friends, our families, and experience them as they experience their right to life. All the things you do within your life are included. Also included in this right is the right to liberty. Liberty is a word thrown around a lot, but it seems to be little understood. Some try to pervert the meaning of it as if it's something that they grant you. You hear things like the liberty given to you or provided for you. And of course, if someone can grant it, then they can take it away. In the dictionary, liberty is defined this way: the positive enjoyment of various social, political, or economic rights and privileges. And secondly, the power of choice. I think the power of choice best describes liberty as a human right. Liberty is really the act of living life as you choose. If you feel the power of choice in the decisions that you make, you are experiencing liberty. Of course, when you live within a community of people, there are going to be agreements that are made to keep everyone moving in the same direction. As an example, a stop sign on a busy street. We all agree we should stop and look for other cars. But the first agreement that needs to be made is that you want to live in that community and abide by all the rules. This is when you would most thoroughly experience the power of choice. You are deciding to live within the mores of that group. You are deciding ahead of time to stop at a stop sign. In order to do that and to have your full expression of liberty, you must know and understand the rules and the regulations that you are agreeing to first. This sounds involved, and it is, but it is at the bottom of many, if not most, complications we experience in society. There is someone who lives amongst us who is not in agreement with the rules the rest of us have agreed to, so they feel they are being forced to act in a particular manner. All because they didn't take the first step of deciding whether or not they wanted to be part of that group. This is where the government becomes valuable. One of the purposes of government is to create a safe place for us all to live, a place where we can express our power of choice over our own life. When you are thinking of liberty, it is the power to choose. The final aspect of this human right is security of person. Security, in this sense, means to be free from danger. Why would this idea be part of the right to life? Because others do not have the right to endanger your life or your family's life with their actions. To put you in continuous condition of fear of being robbed, fear of being hurt, or your children being hurt. You have a right to be and feel secure in your home, at your workplace, at work, and on the street in your community. To feel secure that to feel secure that your other rights are intact, but neither do you have any right to endanger another. Blowing through a stop sign because no other car was there is not a right you enjoy. You agreed to stop, and you look the other way to see if anyone else is coming. To do otherwise is to take away from others in the community their right to security. It can be easily seen that if you wish to have all of your human rights secure, then the human rights of others must also be secure. No one lives in a bubble and has no involvement with others. It behooves all of us to do as much as we can to not only secure our own rights, but also secure those rights for everyone else. My guest today is founder and CEO of Here to Serve, Katie Quintas. Here to Serve is a charity whose purpose is to give support to families with a child or a young parent battling cancer. Today, 15,000 kids per year were diagnosed with cancer. Out of that, only 1,000% of the billions of dollars in pediatric cancer funding went directly towards supporting the family. Katie, with her organization Here to Serve, works to make this experience less traumatic for the family by organizing their family, their friends, and the community around them to support them. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah. So tell me how you got involved with this.
The hard way. Unfortunately, I had the misfortune of having two family members be diagnosed with cancer only a few months apart. It was my husband and my son. And I had to take them through this cancer journey while I was working full-time because I needed to keep my work going because our insurance,
of course,
was with my company. Fortunately, my company tried to work with me, and they allowed me for some days to work from a hospital room. Other days when my son was home, I had to go into the office and do my meetings and things like that and have to leave him with my mother and my mother-in-law, who my mother came out from New York to stay with us. And so it was a challenging experience to have two family members in two different hospitals across town from each other battling cancer while you're trying to work and trying to keep the family going, cook meals, do all the things that normally are no big deal, but in the midst of handling stage 4 cancer, you're overwhelmed. You're just completely overwhelmed.
And this was prior to Zoom, I take it?
Oh, yes. This was prior to Zoom.
Wow.
Yeah, this was prior to Zoom, GoFundMe, all the things that, you know, are helping people today, but not nearly as much as they could be helped if they worked with us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So tell me about what you do with Here to Serve.
What we do is we have 3 programs. The first program, we have family care coordinators that work with a family. They do an intake like you would at a hospital, and they determine all the family's needs, at least the needs that the family is aware of at that point. We usually know more than they know about what their needs will be.
Now, you're not talking about medical needs, right?
Nope. I'm talking about just survival needs at home, getting meals cooked, taking kids to sporting events, doing housekeeping, taking care of pets, transportation to and from hospitals.
Who would have thought of the dog at a moment like that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but you do,
Right,
because
eventually it pops up pretty quick.
we actually put on our calendars in the care community pooper scoopers who actually go to the backyard and clear out the backyard so that the family doesn't have to do that. But in any case, we create a online care community. That's the first part of our program. And in that care community, people will join, whether it's loved ones or neighbors or friends or the community at large, because we leverage social media to bring people into the care community to join and to help support the family in all kinds of ways. We usually put up a link to a crowdfunding site that we run for them. So we raise money for the family. It goes directly to the family. It doesn't come through us. We can't have what's called directed giving, meaning somebody would give us $100 and tell us to put it toward the Smiths family.
Right.
That's not legal. So what we do on crowdfunding is, unfortunately, nobody gets a tax write-off, but the family is helped. And we run the crowdfunding because we know how to do it.
Right.
We don't make it a splash in the pan like a friend might do.
Right.
Who would set up a crowdfunding site and then it's up and they're like, done. And it's just the start.
And you keep marketing it.
Yes, you have to keep marketing it. You have to keep people engaged and involved. And we do the same with the care community. We do updates. There's another software package called Caring Bridge, and I used that when my family was going through this.
So this is a separate company that put out a software package.
Yes, called Caring Bridge. And a lot of people still use it, but Here to Serve is like Caring Bridge on steroids. It's well beyond just keeping people in touch with what's going on, so that the caregiver isn't bombarded with phone calls and text messages and how are they doing and emails, and you just get overwhelmed.
Right.
So we do all the updates for the family. We set up a page of how to help, different things, like we put in gift cards, their address, where to send the gift cards. We do things like my favorite things for the child who's sick and for the other children in the family, because we can't forget them.
Yeah, no.
No, because they're already in crisis with a sibling that ill and potentially a parent, because we also help parents with young children, school-age children in the home too, if mom got breast cancer.
Okay.
So the big concept is family. Is there family in the home?
And most of these are younger families.
They
like
are.
Under 40.
Oh,
the
yeah.
parents are under 40. So they haven't really established themselves financially
That is
yet.
right. They're living paycheck to paycheck. And usually they lose half to 40% of their income because one of the parents is either sick or has to take leave.
Right.
Unpaid leave in
Absolutely.
this day and age.
Right.
To take care of their child. And it's a very overwhelming process, because then that throws you into financial instability.
Sure.
And you start worrying about money. And then people say, oh, go to this foundation and that foundation, and you can get a list a mile high of different foundations that you can go to for help, but then you're overwhelmed again.
Just to fill out the forms.
Well, to fill out the forms and see which ones are the right ones for you to approach, because...
And do you have that expertise?
Yes, we do
wow.
that. We take all of the nonprofits that are out there, the foundations, And after we've taken an intake with the family, we learn how much they make. We know if one foundation or another doesn't serve their type of cancer. So we cull down the list to make sure we don't give them 200 names. We give them 20, maybe 30 names.
Okay.
But they're of foundations that can help them.
And how do they help them? Is it financial help?
Financial.
So they'll get a couple $1,000s from here, or do they get
Yes.
huge grants? Or?
No, they're not huge grants.
Okay.
Some of them run anywhere from about 100, 250. You know, the largest ones I've heard is about 1,000, 2,500.
That's it.
Yeah, and so you have to apply to a lot.
Right.
Which is why we do the crowdfunding, because you actually raise more money in crowdfunding if it's done properly, if they have social capital. If they don't have social capital, crowdfunding isn't a good option for them.
And what do you mean by social capital?
Means that they're on social media, they have a lot of people that they're connected with, they talk to. They usually have more than 200 followers on any given social media platform.
Okay.
Because we leverage the social media platforms to bring people into the care community, and also
I hadn't considered that as an asset. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
it is an asset,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It is. Yeah, social capital is an asset. But if they don't have social capital, that doesn't eliminate them
Okay.
from, it just
'Cause
puts...
I would have no social capital.
Well, I think we all have social capital. How we garner it is another thing. You may not be, heavy into social media, but my
Right.
guess is you probably have more social capital than you think.
I would guess so too.
Yeah, so anyway, we work with them on their social media, and if they don't have the connections on social media, we walk away from that aspect of it, and we pay more attention to the foundations.
Okay.
And we have to, because that's the only way. And unfortunately, foundations don't like it when an intermediary fills out their forms, so we can't do that. We do have to make sure that they fill out the forms, but we do help them.
Sure.
If they,
Put the form in front of them.
well, we give them the link where they can pick up the form, and I always tell them if they have any difficulty, the family care coordinator can help them.
Okay, so the 3 different aspects that you help them with?
Okay, that's one, which is the care community.
Right.
The other 2 I mentioned was resources.
Yeah.
And then our holiday programs.
Oh.
We have a Thanksgiving box program where we can only do that locally, though. We can't do that because we are throughout the country, but we can only do our Thanksgiving box program locally because it's turkey and fixings, and so we do
Be a
that.
little tough to-
Yeah, a little tough to get that one across the country. But our adoptive family for the holidays, that is across the country. We do that with all of our families. We take care of their Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holiday they practice. And we make sure that not only the kids get holiday gifts, but we make sure the parents do. And we put a reasonable amount on each family member of 150 per family member. So a lot of people can't take a big family, so we generally work with corporations, and departments will take families.
And they'll do it even though they can't take the tax write-off, or can they do
Oh,
that?
no, they don't care about the tax write-off
They just
during
wanna
the
do something-
holidays.
Okay.
They just want, most people are just interested in, they have so much, they don't want to, overindulge their own family. They'd rather help somebody else. A company would do the same. It's their give back at the holiday season. Departments will do it. And some of our families, some of our wealthier families will take, a family of 4 or so.
So you have families that repeat with a new family every once in a while. They That's really
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this community care concept of like, are you talking about neighbors? You're talking about people down the street,
Yes.
coaches on the baseball team?
Yes, schools, houses of worship, um, people in the community. If we used to do better on social media going viral, but everything has changed now.
There's a lot of people trying to go viral.
Yeah, well, the thing is, everything costs money now.
Really?
Yeah, well, you want to get seen on social media, you got to pay to be seen.
Okay.
And so that has changed some of the dynamics for us. It's made it a lot harder, and it's made it more imperative that we fundraise.
Okay.
Even harder than we do now, but as it stands now, we're about 15 years old, and we are the best kept secret known to man.
Sounds like it.
Yes,
I've never
we
heard
are.
of you. And
Exactly. Well, you can't, because we do not have the multi-million-dollar advertising budgets of cancer research or hospitals that treat cancer, so they black us out, basically, by the mere fact that if you were to look up help during cancer,
on Google? Yeah.
we'd be 5-6 pages down.
Yeah.
And who's going to go that far?
Exactly.
And everybody else that's paying money, the hospitals and cancer research are up there. And it kind of riles me, because everybody sees cancer as this two-legged stool, cancer research and hospitals that treat cancer. When they think about giving to cancer, they're like, I'm going to give to cancer research, or I'm going to give to hospitals.
Right, right.
And nobody thinks about an all-encompassing nonprofit that can help a family actually going through cancer. And the thing is, if not for people going through cancer, you wouldn't need cancer research or hospitals to treat cancer.
You have a point.
So why do we not care for the people actually going through cancer?
Right.
And we don't. Of all the billions of dollars raised for cancer, 0.001% is given to help people to actually navigate the cancer journey.
That's 1/1000th of 1%.
1/1000th of 1%. And yet, if somebody gave us $6,000, the impact that they would have is to help a family for an entire year
Really?
get through cancer. Whereas, and I'm not opposed to cancer research or hospitals that treat
Of
cancer.
course not. That would be
But
suicidal.
if I gave that $6,000 to cancer research, before the ink was dry, it would be gone, because it takes an average of 10 to 13 years and over $1.3 billion to find one therapy for one type of cancer.
Really?
Yes, and that came from one of our board members who's a doctor in the field from Johns Hopkins, and he also runs a biotech company. And so he understands a lot about research, and he's the one that told me the statistics, and I was like, man, that's just shocking, So
Well, I'm shocked that so like your average giving, you might say that, or what you arrange others to help a family with, is around $6,000 for 1 year.
1 year.
And that covers...
Covers every aspect of the support that they need in the home.
Of course.
And of course, people don't realize it. It's like a light bulb goes off when I say that over 60% of the cancer journey is spent in the home with no support.
Right.
Outside the doors of the hospital. For instance, my son would be in the hospital for a week for intravenous treatment, and then he'd be home for 3 weeks.
Right.
Dealing with the side effects, the sickness, the potential of running back to the hospital with
And you had to
fevers.
be there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he had sepsis. So, but 60% is done at home.
Yeah.
And you're trying to manage medications that are taken every 2 hours,
So
day
you're
and
giving
night.
the medications to your son. They don't have a nurse coming in.
No, and you have this big long sheet with all these medications and
Right.
columns and how much and when, when I first got this, the first time I came from the hospital, I went to the pharmacy to fill it, and I had a problem with the insurance company, and it was a Friday night because Brian was let off at the end of the week, and I couldn't get his medications, and I had a meltdown.
Well, it's Friday night.
It's Friday night,
I
and
understand.
I can't get to the insurance company to figure out how to do this, and so there's all kinds of stressors.
Does your organization help them manage their experience with the insurance company, or are you out of that?
Cursory.
Cursory. Okay, I understand.
Cursory.
Yeah.
We tell them about care coordinators within insurance companies, and we alert them to what rights they have and
Okay.
what they can ask for. Do we get directly involved? No.
No. Yeah.
We draw a line at medical. We do not pretend to give advice on medications, doctors, the type of cancer they have, other than explaining it in the care community. We have
Right.
a tab that explains whatever type of cancer they have
Okay. On your website.
on their care community. There's many pieces to
on
the
their, so they get a web, like, is the mic
It's a
describing it right?
website.
Yeah, a web page of their own that all their friends and family can go to know the current situation.
First, we have the diagnosis on there, because the first thing that happens when a child or a family member is diagnosed, everybody asks, "How did you find out?
Oh yeah.
How did you find out?" And I found it kind of funny because I realized that they wanted to know so they could look for the same.
As soon as you said it, that's what I thought. I thought,
They
they're looking.
They're looking. Do I need to worry about that? For me and my son, he had pain in his joints, and he was 16, and I thought it was growing pains.
Sure.
And little did I know he had stage 4 cancer in his bone marrow.
Oh.
And that was after my husband had just been diagnosed with leukemia. So I thought, there's no way God would give me both.
Right.
But God
Right.
gave me both.
Yeah.
Yeah, God gave me both. And I think he knew I'd be headed in this direction of running a nonprofit, because I realized, I'm not Superwoman, although some people say that.
Sure. Well, after that experience,
After
I think
that
you deserve a cape.
Yeah.
If nothing else, you just deserve the cape.
Well, it was, you have to deal with all these medical things.
Right.
You have to deal with the doctors, you have to deal with the medications, and then you have to come home and try and run a home life. You have to do your meals, and you have to take care of your pets, and you have to do all the things that normally is no big deal.
Right.
But when you're in a medical crisis, it is a big deal.
Right.
It is too much, and there's too many dimes. I wanted to crawl in a corner and fall into a puddle.
But instead, you
but I-
started a nonprofit.
Yeah, I did. But crazy. Most people run 150 miles an hour in the other direction at
Sure.
the other side of
Sure.
their treatment, or the treatment of their family member, because it was so incredibly difficult. And so you just don't want to relive it again. But I relive it and relive it and relive it with families. And so I had to toughen up.
Wow.
Because in the beginning, when I would go and do an intake and it was osteosarcoma or something like that, I wouldn't show it there, but I'd come home and I would be a puddle on the floor. And my husband said to me, "Katie, you can't do this and then feel that
Right.
all the time." So I did toughen up.
Well, that's
And
good.
I made the decision that God was in control, not me, and that I shouldn't determine whether this child's going to live or die.
Right.
I've learned since then that God does save some of them,
Yeah,
and
it does, very much does.
Yeah, he does save some of them with these really drastic cancer diagnoses. So I'm not going to be the person that hangs crepe. I'm going to be the person that gives hope, because my son had stage 4 cancer in his bone marrow and he survived. And when I tell my patients about that, that gives them hope.
Oh, that's great.
And they know that, that they're not in charge.
Right, and there's nothing more securing than meeting somebody who's gone through the same experience and having them express, their successes or just their knowledge about
their
what's going
whole
on.
knowledge of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, as they're trying to navigate the hospital and social workers and finding it difficult to get the help that they need at hospitals, which is true. I mean, if you're not on medical, then a social worker will be a great advocate for you because they'll get you onto Medi-Cal or
If you're not on medical insurance.
Right.
Okay. Oh, it's
That's-
previous before you got there. Okay.
then a social worker will be your anchor.
Okay.
But if you already have private insurance, your chances of having help from a social worker are zip to none.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
And that's why.
well, because they're overwhelmed.
Okay. And they
Yeah.
go, that person's taken care of.
Well, yes, that's exactly how it is. And when I worked with CHLA, they had 60 social workers, but they have, I think it's over 300 beds. I forget because I work with so many hospitals now.
I don't see a
300
no,
beds.
CLA.
No, Children's Hospital Los Angeles,
okay.
CHLA.
Okay.
Sorry,
That's
I should
right.
have said CHLA. I should have said Children's Hospital. Anyway, so those beds turn every 3 days.
Really?
Every time a new person comes in, they're given a social worker. So, can you imagine, with only 60 social workers, how inundated they are? So, to be fair to social workers,
Of course.
I think they would like to help, but they can't.
Yeah, and I think you always find that the individual who has the job is doing their best job, but the system doesn't necessarily
The
allow them
system, yes.
to get that done
Well,
to the
we've
quality
got-
they would want to.
Yeah, we've got people at the helm of hospitals that are no longer doctors. They are financial people. They are
So
attorneys.
they don't have that long-term experience with the
Well,
patient.
they're more interested in their bottom line.
Sure.
And they're more interested in their fundraising arm, their development department, and they work with their attorneys to make sure that they aren't setting themselves up for any kind
So
of liability.
The social worker, who pays? Is that the state social worker? Are we talking
No,
about?
the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the hospital
I was
has
assuming the
social
state.
workers.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the hospitals pay for it, but I'm pretty sure.
Right.
But I can't swear to it because I've never asked a social worker who pays you. But they do work with state.
Okay.
They do work with the state and the government to get people covered on insurance.
So now back to what you do. So you have a website that you set up for the family, and it has on there all the current information of the medical condition, and that needs to be public, not the private stuff. And then,
Right.
And then what they need also.
Right.
And then people just volunteer in to do those things.
We have an interactive calendar that we have meals on there. We have housekeeping where they could sponsor housekeeping. We have, it depends on if they have fundraisers at restaurants. We would promote
Wow.
them there. It's every aspect. If we're decorating their house for Christmas, we have slots for them to sign up for. If kids need transportation to sporting events, it's on the calendar. We also deal with dietary restrictions, which for
Today's
cancer
world? Yeah.
patients, cancer patients a lot of times have dietary restrictions.
Right,
You
all
can't eat
natural.
fresh fruits
Yeah.
and vegetables. You cannot. You have to have them all cooked because of the potential for bacteria, and and with their immune system so broken, they need to be sure that they're not causing any kind of bacterial infection by eating fresh fruit that has salmonella or something like that. So we also do dietary things if people want to be on paleo or keto or anything like that.
And how does the community respond? I mean, do you ever have any trouble getting enough people to be involved?
Sometimes I do because it has to do with their social capital.
Okay.
And now that everything, you do on social media has to be paid for to get eyeballs. It makes it a little harder. But we've had as many as 500 in a care community. We need as little as 50 to make a care
But you need
community
50.
work. Yes, that's our bottom line number.
Still, that's a big number.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
50 to make it, because if it's not at 50, then the same people keep having to do
Right.
everything, and we want to make sure that that pressure is not on a few people like it would be if they didn't work with us. If they didn't work with us, it'd be on grandma and aunts and uncles,
Right.
and they only have so much bandwidth.
Right.
Grandparents tend to have the most bandwidth, and grandparents are the ones that love us the most.
I would bet they do.
Yeah, because
Taking care of their babies.
Yep, we're taking care of their children and their grandchildren, and we're making sure they have every single thing that they need and at home, and they feel blessed.
Right.
So the family that's getting taken care of like this is more apt to give back at the end of the journey.
So they sign up for your program with other people. Do you have people that you have?
No, they don't sign up with other people. Remember what I told you about? You run 150
Yeah.
miles an hour
You
in
did-
another
you did
direction.
mention that.
Yeah, they don't do that. I've had very few sign up
Oh.
to help other families.
I could see it, but it's
what I
unfortunate.
have seen is that they start other nonprofits, which breaks my heart because I'd rather them support us.
Of course.
And but a lot of them have started other nonprofits, and I'm like, help us, so that we can help more families like we helped you.
Right.
And
you know how to do it.
yeah, we know how to do it. And sometimes they even come to me and ask me how to set up a nonprofit. And I'm like, just stab me in the heart.
Yeah. It'd be an interesting, little program to write for yourself on, like, how do you convince them that, the right thing to do isn't to start another nonprofit, is to support the
ones that are working.
Because obviously you have momentum. And,
Yes.
and one of the hardest things starting anything
Yes.
is you get the initial momentum going, where you
Right.
get other people on board, and it's not just all on you. I mean, it must have been years for you just running this by yourself practically.
Yeah, it still is. I mean,
Okay.
I'm the only paid employee after
Okay.
15 years because we're, as I said in the beginning, we're the best kept secret known to man. And we can't get our voice out there.
Now, and you're somewhat national. I did not
We
know
are
that.
national.
Wow.
Yeah, we can serve anybody in any state, and we do.
So basically, it's a phone call. It's not an actual. You don't have to drive to your
No,
place.
we do that wonderful thing called Zoom or
That's
Google
right.
Google Meet. And once, when we went national, COVID.
Yeah, everybody went national,
Why?
right?
Because we couldn't go in and see the people.
Mm-hmm.
We had to find a new way, because we used to go to the hospitals, the local hospitals,
Right.
when we were only in Southern California. We used to go to the hospitals and do the intakes. Now we don't.
Wow.
We do everything over video.
Yeah. But yeah, one way you can record it and don't
And
don't
then
have-
the care communities out there, we've already done the intake, so we know what resources they need. So we go in and we start researching those resources.
Yeah.
Then when the holiday seasons come, we have them fill out kind of like a wish list, and we connect it to Amazon. And that makes it so anybody, no matter where they are,
Right.
can handle a family's gifts no matter where they are.
So how do people, like someone who's, someone finds out they have cancer,
How do they find out
how are they
about
gonna
us?
find out about you? Because it's not like I have a list of all the people I might call if I ever found out I had cancer, right?
Well, now since we've been unable to work with hospitals anymore because hospitals have a higher concern for liability. They figure they're the bigger target if something libelous should happen.
So the hospital won't give your name up, and because they feel they have a connection to liability.
There's two reasons. Their
Yeah.
development department doesn't want anybody hanging their hat on their hospital like, oh, we work with City of Hope, which we did. We launched at City of
Right.
Hope. And but they don't. The development department doesn't want to lose any donors to an organization like myself. And the vice
God.
chancellor of UCLA Medical Center said straight out to me, they're going to like you better than us, and they'll give you more money. So if any of our patients or people that know them come to you, you have to bring our development department in. So basically you can wipe us out with their huge development department. So yeah, so there's two reasons why hospitals are reticent about working with nonprofits, except foundations that give money to their patients. They
Okay.
will work with them.
And will they mention you?
The foundations,
Yeah.
some do. That's
Okay.
some of the ways that we are getting known, is some of the foundations that do these smaller grants know about us.
Okay,
and
great.
so, plus we're on a lot
So how does someone find out about you?
we're on a lot of lists. You know, if you go into the internet and look up under cancer and end up on a list. We've tried pretty hard to get on different lists.
Okay.
There are some word of mouth
Sure.
that people have gotten to know us. I have had people find us on the internet.
Okay.
They've dug deep enough, and
And how many patients at one time are you handling?
well, because we're underfunded, in a year for our main program, we can only handle between 20 and 27 patient families. But we also handle a bunch of families for the holidays in addition to that. And we also handle much more families when we're just giving out resources, cold
Okay.
resources. So in a given year, maybe about 100
Okay.
between those
People
three
fit in.
programs.
That's still, be honest with you, that's pretty good.
Well, we only bring in between $130,000 and $150,000 a year, and we make that big an impact.
Sure.
But you go to foundations, the big ones, the Annenbergs and the Parsons, they don't even want to talk to you because you're not at $250,000 and you're not serving hundreds.
Okay.
But they don't understand the impact of
Right.
what we are doing and how we actually transform the lives of these families and keep them intact. And if we were only given the same amount of money as hospitals and
Yeah.
cancer research, we could fill this healthcare gap big time.
Yeah, you wouldn't even need the same amount of money when
Yeah.
you're talking $6,000
Yeah.
per family for a
Yeah.
year.
We
And that
could-
kind of help.
We could hire more care coordinators, family care coordinators. There's a lot of things that we could do to really support our families. So it's disappointing that we've worked this hard and still
Right.
are,
Tiny.
not tiny,
Yeah.
tiny, yeah. But we're mighty.
That's right.
We're mighty tiny.
You got to just remember all the people you helped.
Yes.
That's the thing, is you got to be able to remember them. And it's in the hundreds, if not thousands at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely in the hundreds. I'm not sure if it's hit thousands yet, but
Yeah.
I know it's in the hundreds.
For the average person, 100 people would be a lot. If you're getting close to 1,000, you're doing
Yeah.
quite well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
fantastic.
yep. Well, we feel very strongly that families who get into this situation, something they never expected,
Sure.
something no one would wish on their worst enemy.
Right.
And here they are in the midst of it, trying to survive with no help,
Right.
just the medical community in the hospital.
Right.
And that's that. And maybe some family members who try, but you need a lot more help than one or two family members, because they're not going to make you dinner 7 days a week. And, they're not
No,
going to
they're
take the
not gonna-
kids to the softball games.
They're not going to want to
and
pick up the dog poop.
Yeah, and they're not going to do the dog poop. And, there's a lot of things that,
Right.
happen during this journey. And the journey also has its downside to the caregiver, because the caregiver not only loses income and has financial instability, and that of course causes food instability.
Right.
They also deal with the emotional aspects of trying to keep a family member alive.
Right. And that's their focus.
Yes, and so what we try to do when we do an intake, we also find out where they are emotionally. We do a survey, and at the beginning and at the end, so that we can see if we had an impact emotionally on their journey, and we always do.
Okay, well, great. It's been fascinating hearing what you have to say here. I mean, your program is amazing. I really want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about such an important topic. As I interview all these wonderful and different guests and look at how they have taken this idea of the universal rights, the universal human rights, and employed it into their career or their hobby, I find it so inspiring. Then I wonder, what will you be doing with this information? How will you pass on this message? If you have an inspiring story, please let us know, and we will include it in our future shows. We have wonderful videos in 17 languages on the Youth for Human Rights International website about each of the human rights and the history of human rights. You can watch each of them and learn so much about it all. Universal Declaration, I'll give that to you again. If you have your own video about human rights that you've created, we would love to see them. If you'd like to be a guest on our show or know someone whom you think we should have on the show, let us know at talkabouthumanrights@gmail.com. Please check out our social media platforms, Facebook, Youth for Human Rights California, Instagram, and Youth for Human Rights on Twitter. That's all we have for today. Thank you for watching.